Time now for a look at the day's top business news. France 24's business editor Brian Quinn joins me here. Morning to you, Brian.
Hello.
Starting with Donald Trump lashing out at social media giants with particular focus on Facebook's plans for a new cryptocurrency.
That's right. Trump, obviously has a fairly complicated relationship with social media. You could say that he pretty much owes his political career to Twitter and to some extent Facebook. But Facebook's plan to launch its own digital coin, the Libra, has drawn the president's ire. In a series of tweets, Trump called himself, quote, no fan of cryptocurrencies, saying that Facebook's Libra will have little standing or dependability, and that if the social network wants to become a bank, it will need a banking charter and be subject to regulations. At a so-called social media summit at the White House Thursday, Trump told a gathering of friendly right-wing internet personalities he considers big tech to be biased against conservatives and that he plans to do something about that. Here he is.
My administration to explore all regulatory and legislative solutions to protect free speech and the free speech rights of all Americans. Big tech must not censor the voices of the American people.
Well, while Trump may have his issues with American big tech, that isn't stopping his administration from sticking up for the industry on the international scene. France's new digital tax plan was approved last night by the French Senate. It will levy a 3% tax on the French sales of any tech company with global revenues of more than 750 million euros and French revenues of at least 25 million. Washington says the measure unfairly targets American firms. Its nickname, after all, is the GAFA tax, after Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon, all American companies. The Office of the U.S. Trade Representative has launched what's called a Section 301 investigation into the tax. Chief White House Economic Advisor Larry Kudlow says that could result in retaliatory tariffs on French goods.
France is an ally, and we do a lot of work with them, and God bless them. But I'm just saying, Ambassador Lighthizer yesterday put out a statement that if that digital tax is in fact imposed on American companies, and we are the bulk of it, we will be looking into it with the 301 investigation. Not pulling the trigger, but we will be exploring it.
Not pulling the trigger just yet. Well, it's time now for a check-in on the markets. Asian indexes mostly on the rise in Friday trade, despite renewed concerns over Singapore's economy, as GDP there fell 3.4% in the second quarter. Investors, though, cheered on by record closes for the Dow and the S&P 500 on Wall Street Thursday. Nikkei in Tokyo showing some minor gains. Hong Kong's Hang Seng up around 1/3%. The Shanghai Composite up around 0.7%. The Kospi in Seoul gaining 0.3% as Korean tech giants Samsung and SK Hynix appear to be weathering a trade spat with Japan without too much damage so far. Next, here in France, the government is set to end fuel subsidies for the construction industry, which depends on heavy diesel guzzling machinery for its projects. The move comes as the Macron administration is seeking to bolster its environmental credentials and raise revenue to pay for tax breaks. Camille Nedelec has the story.
French builders are set to see their fuel bill go up. The boss of this small company of just 3 workmen is worried. Their digger consumes 200 litres a day. The cost of running it is going to double.
We're at about 0.86 cents per litre, and it's going to go up to 1.43 per litre when this subsidy is cancelled. We'll be paying the same as road fuel.
Next summer, the subsidy will be reduced by 45%, and in 2022, it'll be wiped out altogether. The original plan was to have a cliff-edge drop in 2018, but the government backed down.
We accepted the delay asked for by the sector, from the 1st of January to the 1st of July 2020, to give them a chance to adapt and so that everyone can be well prepared.
It's a measure specifically aimed at building and infrastructure. Other areas, like freight trains or agricultural machinery, will still benefit from cheaper fuel. The French government hopes the drop in subsidy will generate an extra 900 million euros for state coffers, but has also promised to help builders become greener and fuel efficient.
Well, finally, for me, sneakers have long been big business, even moving into the luxury realm in recent years with offerings from haute couture houses like Balenciaga. Sneakerheads now taking over the auction house. Sotheby's is partnering with streetwear marketplace Stadium Goods for an auction of the world's 100 rarest pairs, from early handmade prototypes of Nike's first track shoe right there, expected to bring in up to $160,000, to motorized, self-lacing high tops inspired by Marty McFly's kicks in Back to the Future 2, those expected to bring in $50,000 to $70,000. Sotheby's says the shoes originally intended for the playground and the sporting field have become high art.
I think it's a really fascinating time in the world, period, where it's not so much sneaker culture, it's just culture. What we've been seeing is the evolution of culture, that it's all starting to evolve and intertwine together. We see fashion, we see art, we see luxury, all playing in the same field.
Not much of a sneakerhead myself, I have to admit, Will. It seems these days that they're just trying to make them as big and ugly as expensive as they possibly can. I don't know what you think.
Oh, we have a producer that's a sneakerhead in the gallery today.
Uh-oh.
But she doesn't have that Sotheby's money, I don't think, so she won't be bidding.
Not if she works here, Will.
All right, thanks very much, Brian. Brian Quinn with a look at the business.